Hello and welcome to the National Debate. I'm Madhavdas Gopalakrishnan. Ladies and gentlemen, a major controversy has erupted over alleged embezzlement of donations at the Ram Temple in Ayodhya. What began as an internal complaint has now turned into a criminal investigation. An FIR has been registered and all 8 accused have been arrested. The Uttar Pradesh police says the probe is gathering pace. Now, this case stems from a complaint filed by a member of the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust, following a preliminary report by an SIT constituted by the state government. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has said that no culprit will be spared. But the story doesn't end with the arrests. The opposition has raised a bigger question. Is the investigation reaching the real masterminds, or is it stopping with lower level employees? Samajwadi Party, Congress, Aam Aadmi Party have all demanded that the probe also examine the role of senior trust functionaries. The trust has not been found guilty of any wrongdoing at the moment, and the investigation is continuing. However, investigators believe that the alleged theft may have been systematic. Sources say that trust officials noticed the recurring shortages in cash deposited from donation boxes, particularly 500 rupee notes, and hidden cameras were then allegedly installed inside the cash counting room. Sources claim the footage shows employees concealing cash and manipulating bundles before they were sent to the bank. Police are now examining whether donations made in faith were diverted through an organized operation. The big question is, was this the work of a few rogue employees, or does it point to larger failures in oversight? And how can devotees be assured that every rupee that they offer in faith is fully protected? Let me quickly introduce our panelists now. Joining us here in the studio with us is Amitosh Parikh, National Spokesperson of the VHP. We also have Subhrashta, founder of the Churn. Jay Dayadre, advocate on record of the Supreme Court, is with us. We have Akhilesh Katiyar, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Also with us is Chirag Sethi, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Anish Gawande is national spokesperson of the NCP-SP. Advocate Kapil Madan is a political analyst who's joining us here in the studio. And let me begin with our first talking point. If you can quickly get that up on the screen. The first talking point is, what exactly are we talking about over here? What are the exact allegations? Now, this entire saga starts on the 7th of June, where the ex-Samajwadi Party Minister Pawan Pandey alleges that there are about 25 to 27.5 crore rupees that have been stolen. Later, we see on the 8th of June, Akhilesh Yadav urges the court to take suo motu cognizance of this entire case. We've also seen how on the 8th of June, BJP leader Rajneesh Singh has sought CBI and ED's probe into the matter. There's also the 9th of June, where a temple construction committee chief has reviewed the records. Further, if you can quickly bring up the next graphic, PMO has sought a report from the temple trust on the allegations that have been leveled on the 10th of June. On the 11th of June, former accounts in charge has raised allegations over the CCTV. On 13 June, the UP government constitutes a 3-member SIT and then orders a probe into the matter. On June 20th, the SIT interrogates 7 employees involved in the counting. Later, we see on the 23rd of June, SIT submits its preliminary report to the UP government. And following, of course, the SIT report, later an FIR that has been put in place. All right, let's also look at who are the top persons who manage the donations or had in any account responsibility. There is, of course, Champat Rai, who's the General Secretary. There's Anil Mishra, who supervised the donation process. There is KD Tiwari, who counts offerings and issues receipts. There's also Gopal Rao, who's responsible for moving the offerings to the bank. So these are the 4 persons, as far as the trust is concerned, who are operationally in charge. But who are those who have been named in the FIR? There is Anukul Mishra, who is an alleged mastermind of this entire plot. The trust cash counting employee, and of course is the first person who has been arrested. 20 lakhs in cash recovered from his house. There is Ram Shankar Yadav Tinnu, or Tinnu Yadav as he's being called. He is the alleged insider. He is someone who's the ex-driver of Champat Rai and therefore being believed to be close to him. He managed daily operations, is what we are told, and held keys to the donation boxes as well. There's Lavkush Mishra, Anukal's brother-in-law, and he's the one who gets Lavkush Mishra in. He was hired on the family's recommendation, is what we are told. And also, of course, others who have been named. If you can quickly bring up the next name on the screen. He had 10 lakh rupees recovered from the home of Lavkush Mishra. Subhash Srivastav, retired Canara Bank official, hired by the trust for the counting, appointed to supervise the cash counting process as well. Avinash Shukla, Ayodhya resident on the counting team as well. 5 lakh rupees seized from his account. Manish Yadav, Tinnu's nephew, hired 4 to 5 months ago as well. Cash recovered from his premises. There's also Karunesh Pandey involved in the counting process. Close associate of Mastermind Anukalp. Ramashankar Mishra involved in the counting of cash as well. Cash has been recovered from his possession. So these are in fact the main persons. And of course, what are the sections of law? Very quickly, section 306 of BNS, theft by clerk or servant of property, jail term of 10 years. Section 3165 of BNS, criminal breach of trust by officials, maximum punishment, imprisonment for life. Section 3174 of BNS, habitual dealing in stolen property. There's also section 3175 BNS, abetting trade in stolen property, imprisonment up to 3 years is a punishment in this particular section. There's also section 61 of BNS, criminal conspiracy, punishment depending on the offense itself, and section 35 of BNS, joint criminal liability, where again it all depends on the offense itself. Let's quickly open this up. In fact, I'll take this across to my panelists. In fact, we can look at the various revelations that have come out of the FIR in just a short while. But let me bring this across to my panelists. Amitosh Parikh, coming across to you first. Please. This is an extremely sensitive matter because from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from north to south, east to west, devotees have been donating for the temple. The least they expect is that the donations will reach the devotee for the purpose which they have been given. This is something that has clearly sent shockwaves. And while the police action is continuing, accountability will have to be fixed because the opposition is alleging that the big fish are getting away. It's the small fry who are being made as part of the accused.
Yeah, thank you, Madhav, for starting with me and having me on your show. The first thing, how will reach to the conclusion? The conclusion will be reached only by the legal jurisprudence, not by the allegations, not by making hogwash statements, but reaching to a legal jurisprudence. What is a legal jurisprudence in the recent matter? Filing of an FIR or appointment of the SIT. Two things coming on the ground that SIT formation was unconstitutional because there was should be a mandatory FIR before registering or constituting SIT. I challenge the very objection, very allegation. The reason being the Supreme Court of India in 2 judgments clarify the very same picture. That the registration or mandatory registration of FIR is not compulsory before the constitution of the SIT in the state of Haryana versus Bhajanlal. And the state has sole arbitrariness and discretionary power to create an SIT where they feel deemed fit. The second of all is a registration of the FIR under section 154 is compulsory when there you find any cognizable offences. About state has done this in this way. After submitting a prelim inquiry report by the SIT, getting the allegations into the picture, taking into consideration all the documents or the evidences or proof subject to the people whose name has been challenged in the FIR, taken in the FIR has been registered. Now the question is, they're changing the goalpost from the day one. They're not, the main target and the main conclusion is not to reach to the conclusion, but to defame the very sanctity of the Sanatan Dharma. How I say? First, they have not approached against the SIT formation, neither to the court, nor to the judiciary, nor to any of the way. Second, they have not registered an FIR or complaint before the SIT formed. Third, they're just coming before the media and asking SIT was not formed. They should have challenged it. Fourth, they were just creating a havoc and making the waves by saying that recovery of amount has been done.
One thing you have to concede, people are being arrested. There are serious questions about what has happened. Or wrongdoing very clearly has happened with the SIT has found with the police. That's why they're arresting people. So how is the opposition wrong then? They have raised the correct issue.
Raising the allegations and raising the objections on the very sanctity of the constitution of the SIT and now on the FIR, now challenging the FIR, now Arvind Kejriwal is coming and saying, we don't trust FIR, we don't trust SIT. Do you have, did Arvind Kejriwal challenge SIT? No, they didn't. Wait for the FIR to get completed, wait for the investigation to complete it. This is the first step where the 8 people got arrested within 24 hours.
You know, is there some amount of political positioning that is being done by opposition parties vis-a-vis the Ram temple to try and gain some political traction? UP elections are next year, as you all know. That appears to be the charge. Respond.
मतलब राम मंदिर चढ़ावा चोरी अगर हुई है तो हनुमान भक्त अंदर अरविंद केजरीवाल जी is there. We just want to understand one thing. In 2021, there was an SIT on the properties that were bought by the trust. What is the findings on that SIT? Who has been arrested? Now the entire thing is being showcased as the scam is only in the donation. What about the 200 kilos of the silver bars that was given by the Sindhi Samaj? What about the Kaka Pushunti Murti that was given by a lady? Nobody mentions all of that. That a scam of that magnitude has already happened. Now what they're going to do is they will put down some cash counting employees, some drivers in the jail कि इन्होंने सब कुछ कर दिया, ऊपर वाले तो सब लोग पाक साफ है, उनको कोई लेना देना नहीं था. विश्व हिंदू परिषद तब खुद बोल रहा था कि FIR कराने की जरूरत है. तो आज स्टैंड कैसे चेंज हो रहा है? आलोक कुमार जी ने खुद बोला था ना कि फास्ट ट्रैक कोर्ट में डालो और इस पे FIR होनी चाहिए. Why is the stand changing now? FIR हो गया. But FIR SIT का report किसको गया? To the IAS, who is a part of the Ram Janmabhoomi Trust.
Okay. Yeah. There was respond.
My friend
but coming to you, each of you one by one.
is absolutely wrong factually. This issue came up on the 7th of June, Madhav. Immediately within 6 days, an SIT is set up with a 15-day tenure to come out with findings. Despite being given 15 days, as my friend points out, a preliminary report gets, is filed with whatever findings they have come out with, and an FIR has been filed. 8 people have been arrested. So how is it possible for anybody to say that the government or state government or even the trust for that matter does not want to get to the truth? But here we have my friend here, his leader in Punjab, has apparently fudged forensic findings. And Arvind Kejriwal should be more concerned about those forensic findings that have been fudged rather than coming to Ayodhya to try and score some brownie points before the election next year. That is the real issue.
We are deviating, but since you made a point of Punjab, respond.
Following the case, Punjab government wanted to fudge something, they could have chosen the lab in Punjab. They wouldn't have gone to a Bajpa-related state and done all of that. This is all something that they can't fight the election on the issues of Punjab.
How about those who've been arrested by the Gurugram police?
They can arrest anybody. They arrested Sanjay Singh for something.
Cyber yarn and the other.
But they will not arrest somebody who's done Chanda Chori.
Okay.
Trust me, they will not arrest somebody who's done the neat paper leak.
Okay. Kapil wants to respond to Jay.
Madhav, let me just, respond to my good friend from the VHP and my friend Jay both. My friend from the VHP has quoted a judgment, says Bhajan Lal this and that. Let me tell you, and I say this with utmost responsibility and humility, what he's trying to say is not there in that judgment. That's point number one. What Jay says is, look, there is an SIT, and after SIT there is an FIR, and there is a possible or few people have been arrested. So Jay also believes that yes, chori has happened, the government has taken action. My point here is that at this moment, you have caught the people who were doing it, but the larger aspect is there could be an angle of conspiracy also. There could be bigger people involved. So my point here is, just because you have registered the FIR and you have arrested a few lower level junior functionaries in the entire system, that does not give clean chit to the people who are sitting at the higher posts, etc.
Okay.
What in a matter like this, what situation demands is, you should have a time-bound investigation so that a detailed report is filed. If there is a conspiracy involved, if there is an omission also, there could also be a possibility that they didn't have system. These were all political appointments. Once you have made those political appointments, you have not had relevantly mistaken.
Okay, there has to be larger accountability. Let me just say this. You can respond, but I just want to ask a simple question. Do we have to fix accountability, at least moral accountability, with all those worthies who we've seen, leaders who are in charge of affairs? If there is a scam happening under their watch, aren't they accountable?
Madhav, let me respond to that. You're absolutely right. My friend is mistaken. The SIT has in fact, just a moment, the SIT, my friend would see the facts correctly before commenting on it. The SIT has gone and in fact investigated, interrogated 3 top members of the trust, including Champat Rai, Gopal Singh. These are all administrators and main functionaries of the trust. They have been investigated already. That is one aspect. Second, the FIR. The fact that criminal breach of trust and conspiracy, sections of criminal breach of trust and conspiracy have been included in the FIR, Madhav. It means that the state government and the police have every intention to get to the bottom of this issue. And lastly, very important, the Chief Minister himself, Yogi Adityanath, he has come out with a statement saying that if any individual in the state, outside the state, has any documentary material or evidence available to show the culpability of a person, they can come and give it to the SIT. Right. What more transparency does my friend want?
Okay.
Quick response. So first point, my learned friend is, he's mistaken when he says that there is already an investigation. Investigation starts once there is an FIR. Before an FIR, there is no investigation. There is only inquiry.
What is the SIT probe then?
So it's an inquiry. It was a preliminary inquiry. It was a criminal inquiry. Investigation happens. Investigation happens once there is an FIR.
I'm shocked at hearing this. This is so fundamental, Madhav. The trust itself.
Sorry.
1 minute. The trust itself asks
an elementary and fundamental error that you're trying to make.
The trust itself asks for an investigation. SIT is set up. When some material comes forward, it is only then, my friend, that the FIR is going to be filed. Is it going to happen before that?
There is a fundamental difference between inquiry and investigation.
Many hands going up, one by one. In fact, I'm going to come across to each of you, but let me go across to Samajwadi Party, because Akhilesh Katiyar, you have a situation where you are saying that there is no accountability. There is news coming in. Champat Rai has already tendered his resignation. This is what sources are indicating to us. So this is what political parties wanted. कहीं ना कहीं मॉरल अथॉरिटी जो उनकी है, एटलीस्ट दैट इशू हैज इट बीन एड्रेस्ड लाइक दिस? अखिलेश कटियार।
माधव साहब, एक पुरानी कहावत कहते थे कि पानी और बेईमानी ये हमेशा ऊपर से नीचे की तरफ आती है, नीचे से ऊपर की तरफ नहीं जाती। पूरे देश के 150 करोड़ लोग जो एक आस्था का केंद्र मानते हैं, वो ये मानते हैं कि जैसे जमीन घोटाले में जिस तरीके से लीपा पोती कर दी गई, जो लोग खरीदने वाले थे, जो बेचा, जिसे पूरे देश ने जाना, वैसे ही आप लीपा पोती करके यहां निपटा देंगे। कोई ड्राइवर चोरी करेगा? वो चाबी रखने वाला, झाड़ू लगाने वाला, पोछा ना, कैसी वाहियात बात है माधव साहब। ये उन लोगों के जो टॉप लेवल पे बैठे हुए लोग हैं, इन्होंने जानबूझ के वहां पे ये सब किया है। और इस देश की जनता को ये पूरा, उन्हें शंका नहीं, उन्हें लगभग ऐसा लगता है कि आप सब लोग मिलके, जो प्रशासन के लोग हैं, उन्हें बचा देंगे।
शंका सबूत का ये संकेत नहीं है। आपको शंका है, लेकिन देयर इज नो प्रूफ ऑफ हिज इन्वॉल्वमेंट। आपके पास सबूत?
हम यहां पे प्रूफ की बात कर रहे हैं, कानून की बात कर रहे हैं, पेचीदगियों की बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आम आदमी क्या कहता है कि यार राम मंदिर को भी लूट लिया, इन लोगों ने रामलला को भी नहीं छोड़ा। इसका कैसे जवाब देंगे हम? ये जो मानसिकता बैठ गई आम आदमी में कि एसआईटी बना दी, इंक्वायरी बना दी, ये कर दिया, वो कर दिया, और सब लीप पोत के बराबर कर दिया। लेकिन जो अपराधी हैं, उनके नाम पे नीचे वाले लोगों के ऊपर काट दिया जाएगा, उनका जुर्माना भर दिया जाएगा, और ऊपर वाले लोग बैठे रहेंगे। इस मानसिकता का जवाब देने की जिम्मेदारी हमारी है।
लेकिन चोरी का इलाज क्या है? इस तरह एफआईआर होगी, इन्वेस्टिगेशन होगी, लोगों की गिरफ्तारी होगी, यही सोल्यूशन है? और क्या किया जाए?
जो आज जैसे जो आया है कि अभी चंपत राय जी ने इस्तीफा दिया है, बहुत बड़े फिगर हैं वो। अशोक सिंघल साहब के ब्लू हेड बॉय कही जाती थी, वही लेके आए थे इनको। उनसे कौन सवाल कर देगा? जो पीएमओ में उठते बैठते हैं, सीएम ऑफिस में जाते हैं, सब जगह आरएसएस के हेडक्वार्टर से संबंध हैसियत है, किसी अधिकारी की सवाल जवाब करेगा उनसे जाकर?
Okay, let me put this question across to Subrashta. Subrashta, at the end of the day, why this is an issue that is bothering many people, as he says, crores of devotees are upset about it, is that all along we are told this is a 500-year struggle, civilizational battle to get the Ram Janmabhoomi temple over there. You know, finally 2 years into the temple's Pran Pratishtha, if you're coming up with a situation where, you know, money has been literally looted, it is quite natural for devotees to be extremely upset.
Yes, Madhav, I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with all the all the sentiments that are attached to this entire issue. But there are multiple dimensions to this entire conversation, and I would want you, because if I were to give a one word reply to everybody here, it would become a very cacophonous conversation. Let me know whether you want to debate on the legal issue, moral issue, emotional issue, religious issue, spiritual issue, or the political aspect of it.
All are within the scope of this debate. It's up to you. Your answer.
So see, I'm tempted a lot to answer to Akhilesh ji. रामलला, जिनको स्वयं दुधमुहे लला को जा करके खड़े होकर के कोर्ट में अपने अस्तित्व की गवाही देनी पड़ी, उन रामलला के लिए वो लोग चिंता नहीं करें जिन्होंने कार सेवकों पे गोली चलाई थी। वो अपना अगर ये धर्म की बात है, धर्म की लड़ाई रामलला लड़ लेंगे। Now let's come to the moral aspect of it. Of course, the first thing that should have happened when allegations of this sort were raised and when SIT was formed, of course, a formation of an SIT is a serious thing. Resignations should have happened. Voluntary resignation should have happened. I completely agree with that. I've maintained it since day one. But the point is also this, that in this country, Madhav, tell me one conversation that is not political. If resignation should have happened on this count, then shouldn't Arvind Kejriwal have resigned the moment the entire liquor controversy happened? So which is why I asked you, which dimension is it that Aam Aadmi Party wants to debate upon? If they want to debate upon the legality and morality of it, बात करते हैं हनुमान की, भाई राम भक्त हैं तो हम हनुमान भक्त हैं। हनुमान जी ने तो बिल्कुल खड़े होकर के रामलला के सामने सीता माँ की या राम भगवान की या फिर लक्ष्मण जी की रक्षा की थी। कहां चले गए थे हनुमान भक्त? ट्रस्ट में अपने लोगों को डालने के लिए क्या आम आदमी पार्टी ने कवायद की? Tell me one name Arvind Kejriwal suggested that, I don't trust the BJP, I don't trust the VHP, I don't trust the RSS, I want 3 people from my end to get into the trust. This, of course, I'm not abdicating the trust of its responsibilities. I'm also not saying that that there haven't been discrepancies and whatever term you would want to crime, so as to say.
Okay, many have one by. Since I think just allow the Aam Aadmi Party to respond, because she has pointedly raised questions about Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, and I will also ask a counter question because I've asked you this question of UP election before. Aam Aadmi Party is often accused of playing soft Hindutva politics. Is that what we are seeing happening once again?
No.
Ahead of the election.
Aam Aadmi Party has been asking questions. 2021, Kusum Pathak sold a land for 2 crores to Sultan Ansari. That land is sold for 18 crores. If Aam Aadmi Party has asked questions, Sanjay Singh has written the letters and also has given all the 11 land dealings files to the IAS, to the SIT. What has happened on that? Since 2021 we are saying कि यहाँ घोटाला हो रहा है, यहाँ घोटाला हो रहा है, देख लो. पर ये लोगों को क्या करना है? पार्टियां तोड़नी है. ED CBI सिर्फ ऑपोजिशन के पास जाएगा. यहाँ कोई ED CBI नहीं आएगा. 15 लोगों का अगर आप एक ट्रस्ट बना रहे हैं, 15 लोग हैं, क्या ट्रस्ट?
Coming to each of you.
क्या 15 लोगों के ट्रस्ट जो है उसमें मेमो पास किए बिना क्या आप ये लैंड खरीद सकते थे? इसका मतलब all these 15 people knew about all these land dealings and you have given the investigation to them.
The same person, Mr. Champat Rai, was part of the alleged land scam that was exposed some time ago, and he was also protected. The whole matter was buried. Your response to that?
You know, I have a very spiritual answer. I come from the land of Sita. I come from Bihar. Sita has still not gotten justice in Ayodhya. That's a lok manyata in Bihar. So I am not going to respond to allegations like inhone ye kiya, unhone kiya. My point is this. As somebody who is a devotee of Siya Ram, if I were to, borrow their terminology, not Jai Shri Ram, if I were a Siya Ram, what would I do? I would fix my moral core first. My question has always been this, Madhav. Yes, if the trust was involved in these discrepancies, why did the Bhakts who suddenly claim to have a moral fiber, why did they not raise these issues right from the day Ramlala Pran Pratishthan happened? I didn't want to get into this conversation. Akhilesh Yadav ji ने तो मत्था तक नहीं टेका है वहां तक जाकर. राहुल गांधी तो वहां तक गए तक नहीं.
गोली चलाई, आपने वहां मत्था नहीं टेका और फिर आप मंदिर की बात करें. कमिटी वानिश.
हम अपनी लड़ाई लड़ देंगे माधव. मैं यही कहना चाह रही हूं.
दीपेंद्र मिश्रा साहब, जब माननीय मुलायम सिंह यादव जी सीएम थे तब वो सचिव थे, जब कल्याण सिंह साहब थे तब भी वही थे, और बाद में भी मंदिर ट्रस्ट के भी वही है. ये कहानी है. वहां पे एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का जो काम था, जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट की गाइडलाइन थी माधव साहब कि यथा स्थिति बनाई रखी जाए, संविधान की गाइडलाइन को हमने बचाने के लिए नृपेंद्र मिश्रा जी का काम था. आज भी मंदिर वही बनवा रहे हैं. इसके बाद राम भक्तों पे गोली हमने चलाई. दूसरी बात, नरसिम्हा राव साहब के जमाने में जो रामालय बना था, सारे धर्म गुरु थे उस समय. आपने क्यों आरएसएस के लोग रखे? आप धार्मिक ट्रस्ट था, धर्म के लोग रखते वहां पे, और धर्म के लोग धर्म चलाए. आरएसएस के लोगों ने क्यों ठेका ले रखा है? तीसरी बात, जब से ये मामला आया है, मुझे 10 सेकंड, जब से ये मामला आया है, पीएम मोदी का कोई बयान है, आरएसएस हेड का कोई बयान है, देश का इतना बड़ा विषय है, आप कोई बयान नहीं दे रहे उसमें.
पीएम ने चिट्ठी लिखी इस मामले पे. लेट्स गो वन बाय वन. या ही वांट्स टू रिस्पॉन्ड.
रिस्पॉन्स टू समाजवादी pseudo Ram Bhakt. On 1979 birth of Samajwadi Party founder Mulayam Singh Yadav recalled the firing on Car Sevak. He said, Mr. Akhilesh Yadav, the party headquarters, make the mark on occasion of Wednesday. Yadav said, even after he had ordered the firing on Car Sevak and was duped the killer of Hindus, he was able to win 105 seats. Shipal Yadav testified firing on Car Sevaks. They have no record how many bullets have been fired. They have no record how many dead bodies they have fired on. And now they are talking about Ram.
पी सिंह ने जाके क्लियर किया था, ये लोग मारे गए, वो बाद में सब जिंदा मिले थे. जानकारी होगी उसकी भी.
Okay, let me now come back. Let me bring in fact, our spokesperson of the NCP, Anish. Simple question, that all political parties of the opposition, conveniently remember the Ram Temple and issues related to Ram Temple when these kind of crises come up. It's only politicking that happens. Many of the leaders of the opposition parties have not even visited the Ram Temple. That's the point that was just made by Subrasha. Respond to her.
Madhav, I do not need to be a Ram Bhakt to call out corruption in the Ram Mandir. This is not a question of faith. This is a question of corruption. The Ram Janmabhoomi Temple is a flagship project of the Modi government. A trust was appointed by the government of India in a process supervised by the Prime Minister. Of 15 people who were selected to head this trust. At the very least, we must point out to the government's incompetence because they can't select the right people to govern the most important project they've come up with. This shows you that they have no ability to select the right people. And this is a pattern that continues repeating itself. In 2024, the NEET papers leaked. The NTA chief is sacked, Dharmendra Pradhan stays where he is. 2026, NEET papers leaked again, Dharmendra Pradhan is where he is. In Madhya Pradesh, 68 acres in 137 plots in Ujjain are bought by family members of the chief minister. The chief minister is summoned to Delhi, a lower rung official is fired. The rot starts at the top. at the very least, will we admit that the people who selected these trustees did not have the common sense to select people who would be able to govern their flagship project effectively?
You agree with that?
Anish makes a very fundamental mistake. Anish makes a very fundamental mistake. After the Ram Mandir judgment came in November of 2019, the Supreme Court said trust should be set up. Now, he wants to equate the trust with the government. But that is not correct. There are 15 members. It is an autonomous trust, Anish. There is no connection of the government with it. Now, when the allegations have come to the fore, two things have been done. One, an SIT has been set up by the state, invited by the trust itself. And second, an FIR has been filed. Now, to change goalposts, as my friend from the Samajwadi Party also does, to say that, well, not enough has been done and the rot comes from the top and so on. The SIT, my friend doesn't know this perhaps, has gone and also interrogated Champat Rai himself, and today he has resigned. What more accountability can one possibly ask? Just a quick point. The cash counters, Madhav, is very important. There are cash counters, people who count the donations that are received there. There are 35 cash boxes there. Now, TCS operates, I don't know if you know this, but TCS operates the CCTV systems there. SBI controls the cash counting, but outsourced to a third party for counting the cash. Now, out of 3,500 crores, Madhav, that have been donated to the trust, if there is an allegation of a few crores having been siphoned because there are a few bad apples in the basket, does that mean now the entire Ram Mandir should be targeted? From 200. I'll come to it. Let me respond. Let me just respond very quickly. Madhav takes that figure.
You can't have that.
मेरा बिल्कुल सही है.
It is 1 rupee.
Let me just respond.
Jai.
Takes that figure.
2 rupees of corruption is too much.
No, I agree with you. But to inflate it.
To the temple.
I'm sorry.
Kagushanti Murti is with a picture. With Champat Rai ji is there. Is also stolen. So jisko dar hi nahi hai.
There is also a lot of hype because the Mandir Trust has clarified that a lot of that jewelry that was donated could not be kept at the physically with the temple. It's at another location. But yes, there are concerns. It all has to be probed.
Acceptance.
I'm saying that this all has to be probed at the end of the day. But Kapil wanted to respond to the point that you made about only a small portion of it, coming under this ambit of corruption.
Let me just make very quickly. My good friend makes a fundamental error when he say that look, the temple has been constructed basis the judgment, and construction is being done by the trust. So I asked just one question here. We all know we don't need any specific evidence to say this. BJP has been claiming that they are the people who are instrumental in the construction of Ram Mandir. So I asked just one question here. For construction, you want to take credit. If there is a chori, there is no accountability. Then they say, no, we are not involved. So trust hai. Now, my second point, Subrashtra ji ne bola कि भाई अरविंद केजरीवाल या किसी और ऑपोजिशन लीडर ने कोई बंदा नॉमिनेट किया था, आपने क्या सीवी मंगवाए थे सबके? आपने क्या सरकार नोटिफिकेशन निकाली थी कि ये ट्रस्ट है, ये ट्रस्ट में जो ट्रस्टी बनना चाहते हैं, जो भी कंट्रीब्यूट करना चाहते हैं, आप आ जाओ. ये सारे पॉलिटिकल अपॉइंटमेंट है.
गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल ट्रस्ट like we have. So to say, unlike the trust that you have, for instance, there was some board HRNC that you have in various other.
Now my third point. Now my third point, which is more important. अगर कोई कृष्ण भक्त है या महाकाल का भक्त है तो क्या वो राम मंदिर की चोरी पे सवाल नहीं पूछ सकता? ये क्या लॉजिक हुआ कि आप क्योंकि राम मंदिर नहीं गए तो आप तो सवाल मत पूछो? ये क्या लॉजिक हुआ? अगर कोई कृष्ण भक्त है
and a respected lawyer, but he forgets something. In a trust, especially if it is a public charitable trust like this trust, you have a provision under the CPC under section 92 where you can move an application and say that there is something wrong that is going on there. Have his leaders done that? Has the SP done it?
Exactly what happened.
The Congress.
There is a whistleblower. There is a whistleblower that led to the SIT.
Supreme Court and says that Lord Ram doesn't exist.
Why haven't you moved up? Why haven't you taken legal action?
Go to legal action.
Legal action.
एक सेकंड माधव, एक सेकंड. आप मिस्टर दिहादरे से पूछे who was the first litigant who initiated proceedings for Ram Mandir construction. नाम बता दे, मैं चैलेंज कर रहा हूं. नाम बता दे, मैं चैलेंज कर रहा हूं. पहला लिटिगेंट कौन था? 1950 में ये लिटिगेशन शुरू हुई. बता दे. नहीं पता होगा। आप अपना फोन चेक कर ले, चैट जीपीटी चेक कर ले, नहीं पता होगा।
I don't need to
गोपाल सिंह वर्सेस वाज द फर्स्ट लिटिगेंट।
What is he trying to prove?
जिसने ये लिटिगेशन शुरू करी। बीजेपी वांट्स टू टेक क्रेडिट ऑफ इट। Let's get the fact right.
I will tell you what the reason. Simple सी चीज है माधव. I think this is an absolutely fantastic moment on national television for everybody sitting here to identify themselves. As a Hindu, do you stand with a political party, or do you stand with Sanatan Dharma, or do you stand with your own community? It's a simple question. He asked a question about Krishna भक्त, महाकाल के भक्त सवाल उठा सकते हैं क्यों नहीं? आप राम भक्त होकर के भी सवाल उठा सकते हैं. मैं तो कह रही हूं, मैं सीता की जन्मभूमि से आती हूं, मैं सवाल उठा रही हूं. ये आप मुझे ये मॉरल और स्पिरिचुअल आर्गुमेंट में मत ड्रैग कीजिए, क्योंकि ये डिबेट आप हार चुके हैं. नहीं कि आपने आर्गुमेंट, मैं जवाब दे रही हूं कि ऑपोजिशन लीडर, मैं जवाब दे रही हूं, मैंने कभी बोला भी नहीं है. आप अगर कोई अगर तकलीफ इसलिए हो रही है बिकॉज़ योर पॉलिटिक्स इज गोइंग टू क्रम्बल राइट हियर, व्हिच इज व्हाई यू हैव अ प्रॉब्लम.
Should governments control temples is one of the most important questions that comes out of this, because at the end of the day, this is a trust that was empowered by a government body, but it functioned rather independently, unlike the trusts which are directly under government control in several of the southern states. Let's quickly bring up the arguments on that aspect. These are of course past claims that have been made. Beyond these past claims, if you can quickly bring up the point related to government control of temples, what really is the argument being made over there? Let's quickly bring up that question, and before I come across to that, let me take that question in fact across to Anish. Anish, in several of the southern states, you have temples that are administered by the government. What are those points? The arguments about whether government should control temples. The argument is that government control hurts religious autonomy. The counter argument is that constitution allows administrative regulation. There is also an argument that mosques and churches are largely ones that manage their own affairs, and therefore different institutions have different legal frameworks. There is also the argument that donations are for faith, not for government spending. Counter argument, regulated spending can benefit devotees and pilgrim welfare, so on and so forth. Argument, funds should support worship and preservation. The counter argument is that surplus funds can support education, welfare, and other social programs. Now, the larger question that I have to add is that we are having this free temple debate. And you can all come in on this. Does that entire argument suffer at the end of the day, Jay? Because you have a situation where you have a government-appointed trust, even though it functions independently, because people will come out and say, this is exactly why we have governmental control.
I agree with you, but according to me, as a proud Hindu myself, I would not want the government to step in and control my places of worship. And for instance, the one counter argument that came up on the screen, Madhav, is that the funds that are collected can be used for public benefit and so forth. I have no problem with that, but I want it to be used for the devotees who support that temple or who have given donations and funding to that temple. Plus, the constitution allows it. It's a fundamental right available to every religion to administer their own affairs. So why should the government, like it is in the south, unfortunately, the government comes and controls all of these Hindu temples? Why is that? According to me, it's absolutely wrong.
Anish, your question. I'm coming to each of you. Please, let's not do this one by one. Anish.
The simple point here is that corruption, whether it happens in a trust governed by acts governing trust in this country, or whether it happens in a temple trust governed by the government, is corruption.
Of course.
So now,
but does that take that argument? Does this corruption
I don't think
undo that argument of freeing the temples from government control? That's the pointed question I'm asking each of you.
The simple argument here is every state has the ability to regulate whether its temples are governed by the government or whether they are allowed to be governed by private trusts. If there is a private trust getting government money, which the Ram Temple has gotten, so have several other religious trusts, then they should be held to a higher level of scrutiny.
It's largely public donations, though, not so much government. Let's go one by one. Subhash, coming to each of you. Yeah.
5 seconds.
One by one, please. One by one. Let's not do this. Yeah. Subhash,
5 seconds. I don't want to take. I'm just in same place, different conversation on Waqf bill. Did any of these people say that, yes, Hindus can ask questions of the Muslims, how they administer their properties? It's a Hindu property at the end of the day. The government fought the case because, as I said, Ram Lala ko khud jana pada court. So the government had to take a position whether they are with Ram Lala or not. My question is simple. अगर आप वक्त पे नहीं बोल सकते तो हम अपनी, मैं बार बार कह रही हूँ, हमारे समाज में बहुत सारी कुरीतियां, दहेज में कुरीति है, हम लड़ लेंगे अपनी लड़ाई. भाई आप क्लियर करो, अगर आप रामत्व के साथ वो परिभाषा दो कि भगवान राम की परिभाषा आज समाजवादी पार्टी के लिए क्या है. आम आदमी पार्टी क्या मानती है भगवान राम के बारे में? मुझे क्लैरिटी चाहिए, तब मैं दूंगी आपको ठेका, आपको लड़ना है मेरे लिए या नहीं, अदरवाइज मैं अपनी लड़ाई लड़ लूंगी। मैं
अच्छी बात करना
लड़
और गंदे से गंदा काम करना, यही है पहचान इनकी। अच्छी से अच्छी बात, समर्पण निधि और लाडली डकैती मंदिर पे, और हमसे मांग रहे कि हम ये दे कि हम राम भक्त है नहीं, ये है पहचान।
नहीं, मैंने
मतलब डकैती मंदिर पे डालो, लूट के पैसा कहीं ले जाओ और बाद में हमसे सर्टिफिकेट मांगो, देंगे भाई सर्टिफिकेट हम, क्योंकि यही है आपका काम में। आज हम मंदिर कैसे चलेंगे कैसे नहीं चलेंगे माधव जी बाद में बात कर लेंगे। एनटीए एग्जाम नहीं करा पाई, अब आर्मी लगाएंगे, ये विषय नहीं है। विषय ये कि चोरों के साथ क्या किया जाए, जिन्होंने दुनिया भर की आस्था पे डकैती डाल ली। ये कोई केस अपराध का नहीं है, 150 करोड़ लोगों की आस्था का जिन्होंने पैसे दिए और वहां पे डकैती हुई है। आप हमसे राम भक्त होने का सबूत मांग रहे हैं, यही है काम आपका।
हम
आज राम भक्त होने का सबूत देने नहीं है, हम डकैती का हिसाब।
I will use the same argument. I will use the same argument that I used, on SIR on your very show. If there are Hindus who are absolutely hurt and disgruntled, we will hit the streets, Madhav. मैं नहीं जाऊंगी वहां।
एक करके
आप डिसाइड कीजिए आप किस डाल पे हैं, उस डाल से उस डाल कूदेंगे, मैं भी कूदूंगी। और मैं स्पष्ट बोल रही हूं माधव, ये 5 डकैती हुई है। मैं ये कह रही हूं
साथ क्या किया जाए, हमें ये इस पे बात करनी,
मैं वो
जिन लोगों ने किया उस पे कैसे बात की जाए। आज बात का विषय वो है
माधव। देखिए, मैं इस भाषा में नहीं जाना चाहती, मैं सिंपल सी बात कह रही हूं। ये 500 साल की लड़ाई कर रहे हैं, मैं कह रही हूं सहस्राब्दियों की लड़ाई है सीता की। सीता आज अगर खड़ी हो तो मैं जानना चाहती हूं कि आज सीता का क्या स्थान है, राम जी को लेकर के क्या स्टैंड है। मैं ये गलत थोड़ी पूछ रही हूं, सिंपल सी बात मैं पूछ रही हूं। अगर मैं वक्फ पे नहीं बोल सकती क्योंकि वो पर्सनल मैटर है, तो किसने हक दे दिया कि मेरे राम पे सवाल ये उठाए? मेरी लड़ाई है ना। एक अंतिम लॉजिकल पॉइंट बोल के मैं बात, इसके बाद मैं नहीं बोलूंगी।
मैं तो ये जानना चाहता हूं,
को लेकर के बार बार कहा जाता है ना SIR, मैं यही कहती हूँ ना, मैं यही कहती हूँ ना कि अगर वोटर्स का नाम कट जाता, वोटर्स सड़क पे होते, चक्का जाम कर देते। आज अगर करोड़ों हिंदुओं की आस्था अगर हर्ट हुई है तो वो करोड़ों हिंदू सड़क पे आए, मैं आह्वान करती हूं कि वो आए।
मैं तो
इससे क्यों डर रहे हैं? क्यों आपको भरोसा नहीं है अपने हिंदू भाई बहनों पे कि समाजवादी पार्टी के साथ वो आ जाएंगे सड़कों पर?
आप अपना परिभाषा क्या चाह रहे हैं?
मैं तो ये समझना चाह रहा हूं,
तब होगा जब आप राम की परिभाषा देंगे।
मैं तो सिर्फ ये समझना चाहता हूं कि डकैती डालने वालों का क्या रिश्ता है, उनको इतना डिफेंड कर रही हैं आप भी मेरे साथ खड़े होकर लड़िए कि जिन्होंने डकैती डाली उनके खिलाफ होनी चाहिए, बाहर आना चाहिए। आप उनके बचाव में खड़े हैं, यहाँ पे पूरा देश जानना चाहता है।
लोगों को सड़कों पे आना, तो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर कोर्ट की जरूरत क्या है? सबको वो ये मुद्दा डिसाइड होगा जब आप सड़क पे आओगे। ऋतिक मिश्रा, अंशिका पांडे, भाग्यश्री, ऐसे 14 नाम है जो हिंदू नाम है। नीट के एग्जाम की वजह से उन्होंने सुसाइड किया, इनके मुंह से एक आवाज निकली, वो 14 बच्चे हिंदू थे ना। बोलो धर्मेंद्र प्रधान रिजाइन करो, बोलो रिजाइन करो, इसी जगह पे बोलो दिखाओ ना,
Government control over temples, the entire free temple debate. We've seen several spiritual leaders, etc., come out and campaign on that issue. Has that received a setback because of this scam?
No, Madhav, I believe the debate stands very clear. There should not be any authority or governance on the temple by the state. The state cannot control temples, and the Supreme Court of India, in very recent judgment of Subramaniam Swamy versus Tamil Nadu, has given the authority back to the people who are managing the temples' properties. I believe we should also focus on temples where the DMK government is just vandalizing temples. We should also focus on somewhere where the state are controlling and melting gold for themselves. We should also consider why Madurai bench has recently stated the temple money should not be go for the commercial purposes. I think the governance needs to be taken into picture rather than giving control to the state. The governance should be the first priority criteria for the temples, not the.
But here, where the trust is empowered, this ends up happening. That is exactly why I'm asking this question. People will say this is a wrong precedent.
No, that's what I'm saying.
This is why we have governments to.
The management of the temples should be taken into consideration, irrespective of putting any CO over the authority or taking control of the temples. No, the temples should not be taken into control because there are several judgments of Supreme Court and various High Court which says money of the temples belong to the deity. The administration belongs to the denominations, not to the states.
Okay, Kapil Madan, your response to that.
So I'll be very brief and very quick. We have to all look at this rationally. I understand, emotions, everything is charged up, but the only simple point is, when the Mandir was being constructed, BJP was claiming responsibility. Now, if there is a theft, this is a time you take accountability. Also, the SIT report and the FIR should be made public, because a true definition of Ram Rajya
FIR is already public. I have a copy of it with me.
So I was looking at it, Mother. If you have got it, you please give it to me. In fact, when I looked at it, I couldn't find it. But nevertheless,
no issue.
SIT inquiry report. So it's a one-pager document, Mother. Please confirm.
Yes, this is a one-pager that I can see.
So that means they have not. Hold on, Subhash. Hold on. Allow me to make my point. So that means they have not detailed the entire interrogation or the inquiry done by the SIT. So that should be made public. That's point number one.
Kapil, you are a lawyer.
That's a separate.
Sorry.
I'm just a common
Okay, Subhash.
I am responding to Mother.
Let him have his say.
I have not said anything to you.
Let him have his say, please. Let him have his say, and then you can respond.
And also, there should be a time-bound investigation. It should not be as if you want to take months and years, which you usually do in these kind of cases, to investigate and complete the investigation.
I just showed you the timeline. Do you think this is a slow timeline?
Hold on, Mother.
No, I'm asking you.
I am giving you. You ask me a question, I am responding. A, there should be a clear time-bound investigation. B, there should be a special court which will try this on day-to-day basis. 3, when the investigation is on, this should be done in the supervision of a sitting Supreme Court judge. That's where it will reflect that the government is actually very, very serious. What is happening here? Everyone agrees here. Just a minute. Everyone on this panel agrees कि चोरी हुई है. Number 1. 2. Everyone on this panel agrees कि इन्वेस्टिगेशन होनी चाहिए, पड़ताल पूरी होनी चाहिए, और जो भी कल्प्रिट हैं उनको सजा होनी चाहिए.
Point over here is Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath promised 15 days action within 15 days. That action has happened within the span of approximately a week. Is that not a fact? Is that not a fact?
7 days.
No, Madhav.
No, why is that fact?
No, the allegation here is that the rot runs deeper, that this is going directly to the political bosses who have put these people in charge.
Nobody said that.
That is the allegation. The public faith is not in this government because people are not being...
You said political bosses. No. You can make your argument. I'm not stopping you. Who are these political bosses you are saying?
Have the courage to name those names on national television if you're so sure.
Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh
what is he saying?
Is under scrutiny right now.
What is he
People
saying?
are raising allegations against the Chief Minister. People do not believe a driver stole this.
I'm sorry.
People do not believe that a cook stole this or a security guard stole this. So there has to be an independent inquiry. Madhav, what is this independent inquiry?
I'd like to
how
respond.
can the Chief Minister order an inquiry when the allegation politically has been made against the Chief
I
Minister?
respect Anish because I thought he's very politically savvy and connected to what's happening at the ground. But for him to suggest that Yogi Adityanath, Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, does not enjoy enough credibility in Uttar Pradesh is in itself laughable. The fact is that the man himself has gone and ordered an SIT, an FIR has been registered, and now for you to make an unsubstantiated, defamatory, slanderous allegation that the rod goes to the top and therefore he's also involved in some way. I wish my friend can substantiate this because this is an extremely dangerous statement.
Because I'll tell you why. Just a second. We were talking about the trust when we started off. The allegation was what? That the big fish are being let away and that the small fry are being persecuted or being, made the accused, etc. Now you have a situation, Mr. Champat Rai has resigned. Now you're saying the next should be the Chief Minister. There has to be some link before you link it to the Chief Minister.
Let me tell you one very simple thing, right? Under the UPA government, consistently allegations were made of corruption. Political linkages to government tenders were insinuated in the public domain and an independent inquiry was asked for. The Jan Lokpal movement came out of that movement, right? Now, after this government came to power, they could not prove a single allegation. That same allegation is being made here today. How can a political appointee and a political party...
But corruption in a allegation being made... Corruption in a trust. Are they too comparable?
If there is a political allegation being made...
Comparable.
Madhav, there are two sides of the picture. The one is taking action, which is government, on the request of trust, FIR registered, and the SIT committed. Second side was just making waves. Hogwash statements, distrust against the investigation agencies and distrust against the SIT. Third thing, The same allegations put in 2024 against Kedarnath Badrinath Trust Committee of the gold theft. SIT formed, nothing was found. I believe if you have any issue with the SIT, you should have challenged it before the court. Nobody has challenged the mere constitution of the SIT. It was a mere fundamental violation. If you're saying the mandatory FIR was there, he was lawyer, anybody could have challenged the so, but nobody has challenged it. Till date, they're just making allegations and distrusting the
outrage is about nobody is filing cases. The outrage is about Ram Bhakts are not speaking on this. There is no talking of the legality of the
of course. No, I don't think anyone else says there is no outrage. I think there is outrage. We are all Ram Bhakts.
Yeah, okay. This is laughable.
Same donation money is used to buy the land also. The same trust is responsible for all of that.
You could have challenged it, bhai. You could have challenged it rather than making allegations on media. Somebody could have challenged it rather than Sanjay Singh was
who was shot 4 times. He also said,
you have many, respected lawyers in your party. Why did you not go to the courts?
Let me address this.
No, I'm asking you. Chirag should answer that question. Yes. Pointed question. You say that there is a lot of proof that there is a land.
We have given the proofs. We have
to whom? SIT?
To which
the SIT also.
The SIT also.
You have privately gone to High Court to get your case changed, get your judge changed. You would not go to court if there is a public interest issue such as corruption.
So we have given all the documentation. Now it's the UP government that have to take action. But they don't want to take
government
action.
has failed. UP government has failed. Subrashta, would you like to respond to him? He says we gave all documentation to UP government. UP government failed to investigate this act of corruption. Your response?
I think the UP government is doing its job. I don't think the investigation has stopped and people have said that there's a verdict that has been reached. So no.
He's referring to land scam, not this scam.
I just want to make a broader point, Madhav. This is a time when organizations like the VHP should come out in support of individuals like us who believe that Hindu temples should be free of government control.
Exactly.
Point number one. Point number two, I also urge different political parties, though they think, that I'm absolutely pro-BJP. I am pro-BJP in certain aspects. I want to be pro-Samajwadi Party. I want to be pro-Aam Aadmi Party. I want to be pro-Congress. Please come out and explain to me as a Hindu that my rights would not only be, preserved, but also respected. Please come out and, bring that manifesto. This is I think this आपको राम लला के माध्यम से आपको एक मौका मिला है, एक अवसर मिला है कि आप अपने पुराने पापों को धो डालें और हिंदू समाज के प्रति आप लोगों की क्या प्रतिबद्धता है वह आकर बता दें।
पब्लिक परसेप्शन में ये बात चली गई है कि वहां डकैती हुई है, गई है। अब हमारी आपकी जिम्मेदारी, चंदा आधा रह गया वहां पे, लोग ज्यादा दूसरे जगह पे ज्यादा जा रहे, वहां लोग कम गए। तो ये जो नुकसान जो लोगों की भावनाओं और आस्था पे हुआ है, इसको कैसे किया जाए ठीक, विषय ये है। आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट के किसी जज या रिटायर्ड जज से कमेटी बनाए और जो अभी ट्रस्ट में लोग इनको सबको बाहर करें, ठीक से उस पर इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो, जो रियल में जिम्मेदार लोग हैं उनको जेल में डाला जाए, ताकि ये जो आस्था पे जो चोट आई है इसे ठीक किया जाए और हम ये कह सके।
मैं जया बच्चन जी से आग्रह करती हूँ, मैं अखिलेश यादव जी से निवेदन करती हूँ, मैं उनकी पत्नी से निवेदन करती हूँ कि वो फ्लोर ऑफ द हाउस बेस पे बहस करें। उसमें मुझे रिटायर्ड जजेस पर भरोसा नहीं है। मुझे आप ही के कहने के अनुसार मुझे इस देश की उस व्यवस्था से, उस इंस्टीट्यूशनल जो क्रेडिबिलिटी है उस पे आप ही लोगों ने
सवाल उठाया। ने भी कुछ कहा था,
कहिए,
राम को लेकर कपिल सिब्बल जी ने कुछ कहा था,
कह दीजिए कि हम हिंदू राष्ट्र हैं और हिंदुओं को अपने मंदिर पे संपूर्ण अधिकार होना चाहिए।
कहिए, मुझे राजनाथ सिंह साहब का एक स्टेटमेंट पता है, ये यूपीए सरकार नहीं है जहां पे हर अपराध पे इस्तीफा हो जाए, ये एनडीए की सरकार यहां इस्तीफा नहीं होता। राजनाथ सिंह साहब बोल रहे थे, हम तो सुन रहे हैं भाई, ठीक है इस्तीफा मत दे, लेकिन जनता तो चाहती है कि दूध का दूध और पानी का पानी।
आई एम टोटली आउट ऑफ टाइम, आई एम सॉरी, टोटली आउट ऑफ टाइम। अमितोष पारिक, सुब्राष्टा, जय दयादराय, अखिलेश कटियार, चिराग सेठी, अनिश गवांडे and advocate Kapil Madan. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us on this edition of the National Debate.